you've got to work backwards from the customer and their pain. You can't kind of just take an idea and kind of go, just try and go forward from that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dev Device Podcast. My name is Dano, and today I have the special honor to have Max Sinclair on my podcast. Welcome, Max.
Hi, good to be here.
Yeah, man. Very, very nice to have you. And I know you're doing some amazing things with Ecomtent.ai. I checked out your tools and we even played around with it a bit, using my content and my product. So I cannot wait for you and our audience to hear more about what are you doing today with Ecomtent.
Sure. So at Ecomtent, we help sellers to create optimized product listings with AI. So right now, the seller, we have like a suite of tools. The seller goes in, they can generate lifestyle images, infographics, and optimized listings. It takes about, I don't know, you've seen it, right? It takes a couple of, maybe 3 minutes in total to do it all. But where we're going towards is kind of this one-click listing. One click, everything optimized for you. And we want to do this kind of like continuous optimization. So that's kind of, right now, it's quite prompt-based. The seller puts in the prompt, creates the image, which we want to move away from this a little bit. But yeah, that's where we are and where we're going.
Mm-hmm. So you're right at the cutting edge of the whole AI train. And the thing you're working on, I guess it's always work in progress. And I have tried a few other tools. I was not exactly happy, but what you showed to me and what you're working on is a dream come true for any e-commerce and Amazon seller, right? You can create. Mm-hmm. And it's not this kind of mid-journey fancy stuff like a rat on the moon or what, but you can actually use my product images and you can actually make it work within create a lifestyle image out of my specific product and not just some fantasy stuff, right? And that is,
And full credit here to my co-founder, Timur. He is a PhD in AI. He's an incredible person. And like, as you say, we are literally on the cutting edge of AI. I think he spends like half an hour every morning looking at the latest research, thinking, is there anything that's going on in like the wider scientific community that we should be implementing? And like, I think that's kind of why we are, finding such good, I'd say, traction with the customers, is that they know that AI isn't perfect, but like, at Ecomtent, you are getting like where it is,
exactly.
The best of the open source our AI engineers in-house are kind of fine-tuning all these models, as you say, for e-commerce. So you're kind of not only creating that kind of mid-journey beautiful image, but you're putting your specific item in that image. So yeah, it's incredibly exciting, and it's been a great journey.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. To be at the forefront of AI development right now, it's I think that is as pioneer and as entrepreneurial as it gets right now, right? And to be the guy who finds like the best way to create lifestyle images right now with all the available tools and whatever is possible, which changes, as you said, like your co-founder is spending half an hour a day, and I think that's what we need to do these days, because it's it's like a train, going down the road and or the countryside, and every day there's something new. And I'm trying to keep track and catch up with all these AI developments, but it takes time, and it's exciting.
Definitely.
I really appreciate you doing this, and I think a lot of people in the e-com world will benefit from your tool and from all the things that you're going to achieve in the near future.
I mean, even in our space, I'm on like 5, like daily email lists where they like Neon Pulse, AI for e-commerce. Like
Neon
there's
Pulse.
not, there's
Neon
like a number
Pulse,
of
me
the,
too. I also,
yeah,
you know who
and
created
they,
Neon Pulse?
I've spoken to him, Troy. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
guy.
Troy. Yeah. He sold this company, you know. Can you
Hmm.
imagine this guy? He created an email newsletter. He was on my podcast, by the way. And he created this AI newsletter and he sold it as a business. I mean,
Yeah,
how much
it's
smarter
a,
can you be? I
it's
mean,
amazing, but like
yeah,
for me, it's like it's hard for me to even keep track of like every day what's happening in the
yeah.
e-commerce world. And I mean, it's moving. There's actually too much, and like my personal kind of learning style, I much prefer podcasts such as this. I will go and run, go to the gym, and I'm much better at kind of like synthesizing information over like a long form conversation.
Hmm.
I'm not great with these email lists. I do see them all and I scan them just in case like
Mm. Yeah,
some
yeah,
new competitor has cropped up,
yeah.
or like something
Mm.
like massive is happening.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's a crazy time for sure.
It is. It is. Yeah, and I'm similar. I'm a much better listener than I'm a reader. I think my reading capacity is kind of maxed out every day. So if I can listen to relevant stuff, I so much more. And ebooks also. I love to listen to ebooks, but the reading part, yeah, it's not
Mhm.
exactly the best for me. But
Well, I do try and read. It's just the like these like bullet points of like 16
mm,
updates that's happening in
it's,
Microsoft
yeah,
and OpenAI, and it's
mm,
just kind of like quite overwhelming.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you do have to try and stay on top of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you know the Max Wolf YouTube channel. This guy is, yeah, he is one of the leaders, in my opinion, of doing like weekly updates. So
Hmm.
every Friday he will post a summary of what happened last week in the AI world, and it's a YouTube video. It's about like 15-20 minutes long. And I mean, of course, you can watch it, and you can also just listen to it. And to me, that is kind of my weekly
Mm.
update to to keep track of the development. But yeah, it's a wild west right now, and I'm really looking forward what you guys are going to do with Ecomtent. So, having talked about business for the past 7 minutes, this podcast is about the life journey, as I told you earlier. So, I'm really curious about the people behind all these amazing business ventures, and of course, we could keep talking about AI for a long time. But I would like to open the stage for Max, the person Max, and how he became who he is today. So what I like to do is I like to go back in time when Max was 10 years old, 8 years old, whatever was a significant time in your life as a
Hmm.
teenager, and get to know young Max. What was he doing and what was he up to?
Sure, I guess. I mean, I listened to the Kevin King one before this, and I think obviously he's quite a bit older than I am. So let's
Oh, smart
so
boy.
like my story is a little bit shorter, but I can kind of take it back. So I think my first
You didn't do any
bus
strip clubs or what?
no, my I guess my
I couldn't. I
first.
mean, yeah, yeah. This is not about Kevin. This is about you. But yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it when he came up with this strip club story. It was yeah. But back to you, Max. So,
Yeah.
how did your teenage life unfold?
Mhm. So my first kind of entry into maybe what you would call like business, or at least kind of like the hustling and the persistence that like this requires, was when I would have been about 7 or 8, maybe, kind of in like preschool. Is it preschool, prep school as they call it in the UK? I had no idea what they call it over in the US. Um,
Me neither.
and I don't know if these guys, if the your listeners can relate to this, but we used to have like Pokemon cards, and my parents were always very stingy, so they would never buy me any, and I would kind of get like the shittest ones. So for swearing off my friends, they'd kind of be like, "Oh, I have a double of, this like really really shitty one to have it," and I would kind of work my way up from having like 5 of the worst cards just trading every day in the playground, to having like the ultimate bet, like just slowly. So that was kind of, I guess, my first real, I guess you could call it entrepreneurial in some sense, but my first kind of like
for sure.
interaction in business. And that my first actual business came when I was like 15, I'd say. So maybe 8 years or so later, I ran a business called Helping Hands. I basically leafleted my whole local area, set up a website, and got my to basically be like an agency for babysitting, dog walking, all of these kind of stuff. And I would get my like school friends and kind of various kids to like sign up to do these these tasks, and then kind of like get the parents to or like local people, old people, whoever, to kind of go and book someone to do babysitting or dog walking, gardening. Not a not a hugely profitable business, I have to say, because I was taking like a very small cut of the earnings, all kind of done in cash and whatnot, but and also quite a leaky business in terms of the let's say when someone finds a good babysitter and that. But it was a great experience nevertheless to kind of enter, have my first kind of experience of trying to run something.
And I think this is one of the main things about being an entrepreneur. It's not about just making money and being successful, right? Out of the get-go. I think it's about the experience. And again, I have to relate to Kevin King. That's what he said also. It's about the experience, about the people you meet. And I think as an entrepreneur, so we do have these experiences, and they're not always profitable. Most of the time they're not, but we had, I think the really precious part of it is to just do this stuff and see what happens, and see what kind of interactions come out of it, and what kind of new people you meet, and what new ideas come out of it. So I think that is the exciting part.
I think like at an early age it kind of taught me, you kind of sink a bunch of money into something. You buy t-shirts, website, leaflet, all these kind of like startup costs, and then you're trying to, obviously at the time I didn't really have a strong plan of like recovering costs, but we did, right? It ended as a profitable business, which is which is something, not hugely, obviously, but also kind of that experience of putting your head above the parapet and like trying to get yourself out there, make yourself known, really, like in the local area, as someone that people could rely on to book a dog walker or whatever. And that I think is something valuable, that kind of that maybe doesn't come super naturally to me, but something that I went and did.
So would you say there was some kind of result out of this first business venture? Did you see like how this venture would impact what happened later in your life?
I guess like it ended when I left my area to go to university. Like I offered my sister, my younger sister, like the opportunity to kind of take forward the business. She didn't want to. Obviously it was kind of like my thing, right? So I completely understand why she didn't want to carry it on. And with basically all of the let's say the agency people doing all the dog sitting, babysitting, like leaving to university, and myself kind of like it kind of ended there. But it was great. Like it was good to turn a small profit at an early age. Great to get that kind of management experience. Not an easy management experience, given that like obviously these people didn't work for me. Some were my friends, people I knew. So it's kind of it was a like how you manage those relationships, and also kind of the customer facing side of it as well, of course. So like all of that is valuable, and definitely kind of like it was never going to be something that was going to list on the stock exchange or anything like this, but it's a great experience for sure.
All right. And where did you go from there? So you actually went to university. You studied. What did you study?
So I studied history, which is very kind of
Wow.
unrelated to everything that I'm doing now. Yeah.
So you know how things came about. History.
Yeah, I mean, I love history. I don't really read nonfiction, but it like I not normally read like self-help and this kind of, business and this kind of stuff. But if I was going to stray out there, I still read history, like as a treat. Yeah, I think it's super interesting. Not, I think it gives you a sense of perspective on things, I guess, maybe,
Yeah,
but maybe not much
of course.
else.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the typical career path, right? I mean,
No,
with a degree in history, yeah, I'm not sure what are the job opportunities
become a
as a
history teacher is the
yeah,
main one.
other than teaching history. Yeah, it's I'm trying to figure out like how could you apply, but yeah, in terms of experience and knowledge and self-education and getting like the big picture of mankind and all that, I think it's still very
Yeah.
valuable. Yeah.
Most people convert to law. So the standard, like most of my friends who did it, they kind of convert to law and kind of go
Oh,
to law
law.
because it's, you're reading, like history teaches you to read a lot of information, create arguments, synthesize data, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the standard path. But that didn't interest me at all because it's,
Yeah. And you could also
even now
become a
I
great
find,
storyteller. I mean,
yes, yeah.
you read so many stories. I mean, you could also go and like create movies or write books or stuff because I think stories is all history is about, right? How things happened, how they unfolded, and how all these events kind of were prepared, which you understand, which we don't know, if we don't study this stuff. So I guess you must be a great storyteller.
Let's see, here's a podcast listeners agree to that.
Yeah, and then so you did finish your history studies, and
Yep.
and then what happened? So you had your degrees in hand, you finished
So
university, and
I went straight to Amazon. I went straight to
oh,
Amazon out of university. I joined Amazon at 21. I was super young in terms of like the other. I was on like a grad scheme, but they kind of Amazon kind of just threw you into the deep end, like they threw you straight into a team. I was in the new seller recruitment team. So I was
oh,
kind of, yeah, which was not how it was advertised to me. I kind of like, at the time, I had 2 job offers. Amazon paid slightly better. So I had like a big 4 consultancy and Amazon, and Amazon paid better. And it seemed to be like kind of slightly cooler. This is, this is in 2016.
oh,
So I was like,
holy
yeah, let's,
cow! So now I know an Amazon guy. How cool is
oh,
that?
yeah.
I wish I had met you when I was a seller because I think all sellers have this dream of knowing someone on the other side who could actually help them out and get past the
Yeah.
support brick wall. But so you were that guy who was
I
actually
was
sitting on the
that
other
guy,
side.
yeah. So my first job
Oh,
at Amazon was new seller recruitment. I would literally call up people in the north of England, and I would say, "Hey, have you I see you've got this website. Have you considered selling on Amazon?" And
oh my
it's
God.
unimaginable now, but people would be like, "What's Amazon?" And I would be like, "Oh, it's marketplace, and you can list your products and blah blah blah." And like I'm here to help you through the process, and I'll get your products on board. And we have this thing called
Wow.
FBA as well. Like if you want to just ship it to a warehouse, and we do all the fulfillment for you, and blah blah blah. And I mean, it was a really tough job in the sense that like I'd get like hung up on and be like told to fuck off and all of this stuff
Hmm.
multiple times a day, and you just
Hmm.
kind of had to uh, keep on going. You had to keep on going in it, and like I said, like I didn't expect to kind of be thrown into that and like kind of like hard sales environment. They kind of pitched
Hmm.
it as like a grad scheme, and like you're going to learn about business and blah blah blah, and actually like
Hmm.
wasn't the case. You just
Hmm.
chucked in and like kind of making the phone calls. So I did that for 3 months, and now I'm
Wow.
very glad because obviously now it's come full circle, and like I'm doing cold sales, right? Like I'm a CEO, like I'm doing this. So I'm very, very glad I had that experience. But at the time, like it was, it was pretty rough and I didn't enjoy it. So
Oh yeah, I mean, who would enjoy calling strangers and selling them stuff? I mean, you
yeah,
have to be, yeah, you need a lot of confidence and a thick skin, I think you say in English, to
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of deal with all this, because you're getting rejection most of the time, right? And
yeah.
people just tell you to f off, and what are you talking about? So, and but it's such an amazing story, like how in 2016 you had to like sell Amazon to anyone, and you were like on the Amazon sales team, like at the cold calling sales team. I think this is really something you can be proud of. Not so many people have been in the situation of selling Amazon and telling people what
Yeah.
it is. But
It's crazy to think about it now,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because of where Amazon's come. But the company, I mean, I was there for over 6 years, right? And the company really changed, like during that period. I mean, like most obviously in the stock price, right? Like when I joined, it was like $500 a share, and like when I at the peak when I was there, it was like 3,400. So like
Mm,
the like I mean the increase in the like that alone kind of showed you like the growth that company was going on, but
mm,
like so
mm,
much changed. In we moved
mm,
offices, and we like the culture really shifted. Like it was an amazing like overall, but like on macro amazing experience, but also
mm.
it's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm curious to learn more about. I mean,
Mhm.
what was it like after this being the sales guy? So what was your next role, and how was it to
Sure.
work in Amazon? What was it like?
So my next, like immediately, so I did that for 3 months, and then they kind of in Amazon. There's, well, I'll answer your second question first. In Amazon, there's like constant restructuring, like constant. Every they have like what they call the OP1 and OP2. These are like cycles that have every year Operation Plan 1, Operation Plan 2, and basically every team will draw out their plan for the next year and request a headcount, and they'll get a budget and they'll negotiate it with the directors will negotiate the budget with the VPs, like the Andrew Jassy or Jeff Bezos at the time would be setting the direction, being like, Alexa is a focus, and I don't know, dash buttons are not, or whatever it is, right? And then kind of that all filters down, and the result is that like basically the whole company is in a like you only get to realize this as you get more senior, but like you don't realize this when I started, but like the company is basically in like a constant state of planning, and you kind of have like 3 to 4 months of like you're focused on the next year plan, and then like the rest of the time you're focused on delivering. So the impact of this is like it's in a constant flux, and luckily for me, there was a restructure, and they were saying, "Does anyone want to move?" And I put my hand up. I said, "Please get me out of here."
Oh, you
I
wanted to actually leave?
No. I wanted to move from the kind of the being on the front lines of
Oh,
the cold calling. So I went
oh,
and I became. I joined the FBA team. I was an account manager there directly afterwards. That was a much easier job because you weren't talking to people who'd never heard of Amazon or people who weren't interested in selling on Amazon who just thought the fees were too high. You're talking to the existing sellers, and you're basically helping them with FBA, getting them on board, to Prime and all of that stuff. So like the conversation is automatically a lot easier. And then secondly, you also have all of this data in front of you, so you can see like what their sales are, their products, and you can already kind of imagine who's going to be a very effective FBA seller, who's not going to be an effective FBA seller. It's much easier to kind of like manage your time. And you take them again through the whole cycle. So you put them on FBA, you do the sponsored products, or the ad, whatever it's called nowadays. and you do, and yeah, you kind of help them to grow. And again, like an amazing experience. And it kind of, I guess, being in these two teams taught me the A to Z of Amazon, right? Like from the inception to kind of like, well, later my next role, I then was promoted, became strategic account manager, and I was working with, you know, some of I'm jumping around a bit, but some of the kind of largest businesses in the EU. So I was managing Anchor, if you know them in the
Oh
EU,
my
like
God. I know Anchor. It's a
yeah,
Chinese
so
company, right? Mobile
Chinese
accessories in
company.
China.
They've now IPO'd, so they're $1 billion Amazon seller. But Amazon first brand, started on Amazon, incredible company, like in just so amazing to work with. Um, you know, and what I had about five or six. I had Duronic, I don't know if you know them, Domu, like some of these guys are, they're making hundreds of millions on Amazon EU, right? Not even including what they're doing over in the US. And so actually some of these and I won't name any more, but some of these companies now are my customers at Ecomtent, which is just like an amazing it's
Yay!
a very,
There you
very
go.
satisfying, right? Like
So you got your lead database from Amazon itself. I mean,
well,
how
no,
that?
I didn't.
Oh, you're a lucky boy,
I
man.
got I got the lead. I got my lead database from having the relationships with these people, right? I would go
Yeah,
into
yeah,
their
yeah,
offices. I would meet
yeah.
their founders. They would come to the Amazon offices. We would spend hours working on their strategy. Like I'd write these people like documents on like, you need to do this, and this. Like you need to expand to the EU. Like these are this is how you should approach Prime Day. Like all of this stuff, right? That's kind of what I was
Okay.
doing, and I was learning a lot from the sellers. Like we were, like Anchor in particular, their approach to the product development was just amazing, and they would be like, we're trying to launch this and this product and this, and it was just like incredible. And also from the content side, obviously now like I'm in the business of creating e-commerce content. Like everything they were doing looked like they'd have a power bank and it looked like a spaceship with the kind of not in it the product, but like the A plus content. Like it would just be beautiful, and like the infographics would make it seem like this is going to kind of give you superpowers just from like the visuals, not the text, but like it was just so I learned a lot there. I kind of moved into I took a real interest in this like product development side, and I started to this is now in 2018, I'd say. Like I started to help the sellers look at exploding keyword terms and search terms, and help them like these big sellers onboard the right products and develop products in the right direction to hit this. So it's like a very early Jungle Scout type thing.
Ah,
I think Jungle Scout was around at the time, and I remember looking, but it was early on, kind of. I think now everyone's kind of looking at this and searching for niches and the rest of it. Like I was doing this kind of internally with like a handful of the top sellers. Super interesting kind of project. We like eventually scaled that out across like made that a more scalable approach across like the EU all account managers. But at the time, like it was something that I was very focused on. So yeah, that was super cool.
say again.
I was just saying that was super cool.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I missed that last part. Yeah, yeah. That sounds that sounds super cool. I mean, you have no idea how many times I wished when I was an Amazon seller to kind of see the back end, of what a guy like you would actually see, behind the scenes, how my account would actually look from within the Amazon team. I guess that would have been quite exciting. But yeah, working with people like Anchor, I can imagine how how inspiring that was, because they happened to be my competitor, because I was selling wireless
Oh
chargers,
no, yeah.
and you can imagine that didn't go very well to compete with Anchor, but yeah, I mean, there's still space, of course. I mean, they are huge,
Yeah.
but
And
nevertheless, I mean,
there were some like just amazing sellers. Like shout out to Mohammed from Geronic. Like the guy started from selling USB sticks off like in at school, and then he's built this like 100 million revenue. I'm sorry if I'm giving away your size of your business, but like it's enormous business. They're in they're in office, they're in home. They're like they're a good, they're high quality, kind of like UK based Anchor, similar kind of seller, but just such amazing people that I would be working with. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. That guy sounds like a potential interesting guest from a podcast, man.
Yeah, it would
But
be. It would be. Yeah.
but eventually you did leave Amazon, right? Eventually you left. So
Well,
what?
so I mean, I from there, from the UK, I went out to Singapore. I was part of the team that set up Amazon in Singapore. Kind of that was incredible. Spent 6 months on like a program, like an internal Amazon program. It's called the Global Talent Program, where they would just send people from established marketplaces to new ones to just help with the launch. So kind of launched Amazon Singapore. I then came back to the EU, well, the UK specifically, to launch, to work on, not to launch, but to work on the scale up of the like the 3P grocery business in the EU. And you have this. I know you're focused on Japan. They have this in Japan. It does quite well in Japan, like the Amazon kind of Prime Now, where you literally onboard the supermarkets onto the 3P marketplace and order from there. So we kind of, when I joined that team, we had one merchant we were working with, which was Morrison's. And when I left, we had 10. So just plus 10 across the EU. We launched in new marketplaces, and that was just an amazing experience as well, kind of at like that scale up. And people say it's like a startup. I mean, now I'm running a startup. I got, like there's very big differences from like working in like in an Amazon team with like infinite resource to like doing what we're doing now. But definitely like the experience of a scale up is, and it was very formative. And then I left Amazon in 2022. Basically, my co-founder showed me the first model from Stable Diffusion, the first generative AI model that was public, where you could put in a text. When I say public, I mean public is in that you could download it and build on top of it. Not public, like DALL-E may have been before, but like the first one you could actually use as a base to build on. And you could put in text and you could generate an image. And, this is only a year ago, but the images weren't that great, but like immediately, the technology like seemed absolutely magical to me, and immediately got my imagination going, and just thought that in 5 years time 90% of the content on marketplace is going to be AI generated. Like how could it not be when you saw how easy it was to create images, and basically kind of I felt at that point that it was like being at the start of the internet revolution. Like that was kind of like genuine, seriously like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to kind of jump back into entrepreneurship, something that I've always been my ambition, and kind of also I'd built this like wealth of experience and understanding about marketplaces and specifically Amazon and how it works. So I thought it's a great chance to kind of take that try and see what we could do with this new technology and what we could build. So yeah, that was kind of the founding of Ecomtent, and we've just been working on the business since then.
Wow. 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 Applause, man. So you did the whole Amazon journey, and then you found this revolutionary new trend, and it was attractive enough for you to leave the safe house of this
Yeah.
enormous giant that, I mean, yeah, as you said, with unlimited resources. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like to work in a company like that. And then you took the risk of venturing into your own business. Yeah, I really admire that. So this must have been a big shift in your life. And I guess your co-founder is partially to blame for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a big shift, and my parents were absolutely against it. Like,
Oh yeah,
couldn't
I know.
you know
Parents
couldn't
like
be.
safety.
Yeah,
Parents want us to be safe, and
yeah,
yeah, and entrepreneurship is not safe, so
yeah,
they don't want that.
exactly. But I'm fortunate, to, and we touch upon it, like, I'm fortunate to have been at Amazon. Like, my shares kind of,
Mm.
you know, quadrupled
Oh, you still have
in
shares?
value. Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, so I'm fortunate to have a bit of personal runway to enable me to kind of
nice.
go on this
Mm.
the journey, and like, it was a good point in my life, in terms of my age. Like, I don't have kids or anything at the moment, so it's kind of a great, it felt like a kind of like now or never time,
Yeah,
and the
of course, yeah.
and yeah, like the technology also, like, you could immediately see, just by like looking at a quick demo. Like, you couldn't put the image in back then, but like, I asked my co-founder, like, he showed me this, and I said, could you put a product in there, like take this glass, could you put the glass in this output image? And he goes, well, not now, but like, it's possible. um he kind of built like a scrappy demo, like, literally over a weekend, and like, you had all the problems that you had, right? Which you have on a mid journey, where like the glass is kind of distorted and it's not the same glass,
Mm.
and blah blah blah. But like, he was like, you know,
Mm.
it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed me that it was possible, right?
Mm.
And I was like, well, like, this guy, he's he's a PhD in AI. Like, he's an yeah,
What you can have? Is there such a thing? You can have a PhD in AI?
he's got one.
Well, wow. I didn't know. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, then, I mean, you're so lucky to work with a guy with a PhD in AI. And yeah, I mean, of course, and this is such an exciting time because even though so many things do not work, but yeah, because of guys like you, they're going to work. So you guys make it work. So I mean, how cool is that? I mean,
Yeah.
this is why we need entrepreneurs, right? Not to just hop on a horse, which is already perfect, but you guys kind of solve the
Yeah.
problems that exist, and you make things work which do not work right now. But then you will also enjoy the benefits of taking this journey and having the courage and making it work, right? Yeah, celebration to Max Sinclair and his co-founder. Um, so if somebody was struggling today to do entrepreneur stuff, what would be your nuggets of wisdom? What would be your words of advice to someone who would
Yeah.
who's considering to do this leap of faith that you did, that you made?
Oh, well, I mean, how long do you have? I think the first one, like, my biggest, and like, I've skipped over some stuff. Like, at my time at Amazon, I was trying to do businesses on the side. Like, I have one of my very good friends, and we probably explored like 3 or 4 businesses together. None of them amounted to anything. Um, and it was more of like a kind of hobby and a weekend thing, and rather than like anything serious. um I think the number one like difference between that and what I'm doing now, kind of like the kind of the casual exploration of an idea, and now is fundamentally this, right? Like, you don't work forward from, oh, I've got an idea and therefore I'm going to go and do this. You need to work backwards from the customer pain. You need to you need to go through customer discovery. You need to have a clear idea who your customer is. Understand how they're approaching the problem now, what solution they've tried in the past. Is there a real pain to do it, to do what you're doing? Like after the call, you shouldn't, when you have your first calls with your customers, you shouldn't even be pitching any ideas. You should just be, for example, I would talk to the e-commerce sellers that I knew, and I've got a number of friends who run Amazon businesses, run Amazon aggregators, left Amazon to run, I've got a number of friends who've done this, right? And I talk to them. I say, how are you creating your A+ content and your listings, and what's happening? And they'd say, oh, it's a nightmare. We're using an agency. Can't stand it. Back and forth. They take time. Expensive. And there's a real pain. And I'm not even saying, oh, I've just found this technology that's gonna automate all of this. But just to understand, have you done this? And they go, oh yeah, we've tried this agency and then it works. We swapped this, and you can see that pattern of the customer is having this pain. They're focusing on trying. Their behavior is showing that they've tried different methods to solve it, and then you're like, great, that's something that now I can solve. And then when I'm having these conversations, obviously my friends and customers are going, what are you thinking? Why are we talking about this? And you have to be resilient to not say, I'll tell you my idea at the end. I just want to hear you talk first. You tell me, let's spend 20 minutes. I want to ask you all of these questions about this issue, what you're doing to face it, how much it's costing you, how much time are you putting into it. And then at the end, you can say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm exploring this. And again, if they're following up and they're chasing you saying, oh, that, everyone's going to say, great idea, I love it. Everyone's going to be polite, but then you can also kind of see, are they saying, where is it? Give me the tool. I'm ready to pay for it. Crucially, I want to pay. Then you kind of, then that you're onto something properly. So I think, yeah, my number one learning would be, you've got to work backwards from the customer and their pain. You can't kind of just take an idea and kind of go, just try and go forward from that.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So I already gathered 3 key points, 3 mindset things from what you said just now. So the one is begin with the end in mind, right? There is this guy who wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what you said just now is beginning with the end in mind, I think is actually a very viable principle to apply to any entrepreneurial journey, to look at where you're going before, and instead of just, oh, I have this idea and it sounds cool, but the end result is important. And then listen to people. I mean, listen to what people have to say. So I think that's also super important to understand what's going on, and to be the guy who is actually listening and understands the problem.
And I don't think this customer listening ever ends. Especially in my business, right? The landscape is rapidly changing. So what the customer pain that we discovered a year ago, right, is different now, because there is ChatGPT. Everyone knows about ChatGPT, right? So the pain of hiring a copywriter, it's no longer a pain, right? It's it takes 10 seconds to create a listing, the text. Maybe you're shaking your head, but but no, seriously, it's a constant, this understanding how the customers are approaching stuff. They change, right? The and it's something you need to keep doing as you go through the journey, and talking, obviously we have lots of paying customers now, talking to these guys, looking at how they're using the tool, people use the tool in unexpected ways, and that kind of has given us additional ideas and insights about what we need to build and fix because of like how people are using it. Like a very obvious quick example is like Amazon Post. Like I saw a lot of our customers are using our tool like to create Amazon Post, not a tool what we had like set out to do at the beginning, but it's really interesting to kind of see that use case and like, you know, we're now like I won't get into it, but like we're incorporating that into our broader vision for sure, like how we're like thinking about like, you know, where we're going.
Oh yeah, this is going to be an exciting journey, Max, and I have the intention to follow your journey and to see where this all goes. And I mean, I'm excited to see where Ecomtent is in 1 year from now, or even 6 months from now. I mean, things might be changing very quickly, and that's going to be very exciting. And I would like to thank you so much for all this wisdom and your story that you shared today. And I would also like to thank the viewers who are watching this episode. So I appreciate you're here with us. And so if somebody wants to get in touch with you, want to learn more about Ecomtent, obviously we will leave a link in the description. It's going to be ecomtent.ai, as you can see on the screen right now, right? If there's anything else you would like me to share, how people can reach out to you.
I'm most active over LinkedIn, I guess. So like just find me on LinkedIn. So that's probably my best social media. And yeah, like you have the website as well if you're interested to see that.
Yeah, man. Next time we do a demo, but you have demos on your website, right?
Oh, there's demos. Yeah. There's
a
live
lot of
demo on the
demo.
website. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have to check them out again. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff. Thank you so much, Max. All the best with your endeavor, and I hope we can stay in touch. Thank you, man.
For sure. Thank you.